Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar Radhe. Jaya Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai, Goranitai, Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 27, Text 24 till 28. So I will chant first few verses, and 27th we will recite responsively because it has a purport. tatrāgatās tumburu-nāradādayo gandharva-vidyādhara-siddha-cāraṇāḥ jagur yaśo loka-malāpahaṁ hareḥ surāṅganāḥ sannanṛtur mudānvitāḥ. Translation: Tamburu, Narada and other Gandharvas, along with the Vidyādharas, Siddhas and Cāraṇas, came there to sing the glories of Lord Hari, which purify the entire world. And the wives of the demigods, filled with joy, danced together in the Lord's honor. Text 25. Tam tutusur devanikaya ketavo hi avakrimam chadbhuta pushpa vrishtivi loka-malāpahaṁ nirvitim apnuvam strayo gavastadāgamanayan payodrutam. Translation: The most eminent demigods chanted the praises of the Lord and scattered wonderful showers of flowers all around him. All three worlds felt supreme satisfaction, and the cows drenched the surface of the earth with their milk. Purport: The word Ketavaha means literally banners. The leading demigods are the emblems or banners of the demigod race, and they took the lead in glorifying the Lord and covering him with an amazing shower of multicolored, fragrant flowers. Text 26. Nāna rasaugav sarito brikasan madhushavaha akrishta pachayo sadhyo girayo bibrahan unmanin. Translation: Rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquids, trees exuded honey, edible plants came to maturity without cultivation, and hills gave forth jewels formerly hidden in their interiors. Text 27 we will chant. Krishne abhikshita etani sarvani kurunandana nirvairani yavapam stata nirvairani apaham stata krurani api nisargatah Krishne vivikshita tani sarvani kuru nandana nirvairani apaham stata krurani api nisargatah Krishne abhikshita etani sarvani kuru nandana nirvairani apaham stata krurani api nisargatah
Krishne vikshita etani sarvani kuru nandana nirvairan yavam tata puranyapi nisargatah
Krishne vikshita etani sarvani kuru nandana
Krishna abhishekta etani
sarvani kuru nandana
Vairani abhavam stata Purani api nisargatah
Krishne abhishekta etani sarvani kuru nandana Ladies, Krishna vikshita etani sarvani kuru nandana nirvairani apaham stata krurani api nisargatah Krishna abhikshita etani sarvani kuru nandana Word by word meaning. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Abhikshite, having been bathed. Etani, this. Sarvani, all. Kuru Nandana, O beloved of the Kuru dynasty. Nirvairani, free from enmity. Abhavan, became. Tata, my dear Parikshit. Krurani, vicious. Api, although. Nisargataha, by nature. Translation. O Parikshit, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, become entirely free of enmity. Please repeat. O Parikshit, beloved of the Kuru dynasty, upon the ceremonial bathing of Lord Krishna, all living creatures, even those cruel by nature, became entirely free of enmity. purport by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Those corrupted by a type of sophisticated cynicism may mock this description of a paradisical world situation affected simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord. Unfortunately, modern man has created a hell on earth in his cynical rejection of heaven on earth, which is actually possible through Krishna consciousness. The situation described here, created simply by the auspicious bathing ceremony of the Lord, is an authentic historical incident. Since history repeats itself, there is hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, since last 4 chapters, we are reading about the Govardhan pastime, and these are the concluding verse of this pastime where Indra is glorifying with Mother Surbi, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we have heard many realizations from many senior Vaishnavas on this pastime, and this has a lot of lessons for us to understand, and this purport itself is very powerful in that regards, because this is concluding the whole Govardhan pastime, and here the point emphasizes that the history can repeat it itself, and there is a hope that the Krishna consciousness movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. And another important point here is, unfortunately, modern man has created a hell on earth that we are already experiencing now. But the important part is, just by establishing the supremacy of the Lord, this is quite a situation described here. The situation that is described here is that Mother Surbi and Indra reinstated Lord as a supreme. They accepted his supremacy. They gave away their false pride, false ego. And just by doing that, all auspiciousness started immediately. So in a way, the process is very simple, to accept the supremacy of the Lord. So when we understand the word Krishna consciousness, it can be simplified to understand that the consciousness should be changed to understand that our sense gratification is satisfying the senses of the Lord. So this is what Indra could ultimately understand, that he was trying to satisfy his senses independent of the Lord, and here now he has accepted the supremacy of the Lord, and all the demigods are assembling, they are bathing the Lord, Mother Surbi is supplying unlimited milk, and just by doing that, all living entities started to perform its full function to the fullest capacity. So, as we read in the previous verse, rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquids. So, right now we are struggling with some water in the river on the whole world. In the whole world, it's difficult to find rivers with water even. They are drying up. And here, just by this consciousness that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, just by bringing this in the decision of Indra that no, Krishna is the enjoyer, I am not the enjoyer, he is my master, I am the servant. Thus, this was a little transformation in his consciousness. He was still the same Indra, the king of heaven, but he changed his consciousness wherein he admitted that he was on a wrong track and accepted the supremacy of the Lord. So the rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquids. trees exuded honey. Edible plants came to maturity without cultivation, and hills gave forth jewels formerly hidden in their interiors. So, when the king or the leader is on the path of Srimad Bhagavatam, then this beauty will manifest on its own. So, we have many accounts in Bhagavatam regarding this, where when King Gaya was coronated, Mother Earth was very much attracted by the qualities of King Gaya, and Mother Earth, out of love, started producing profusely food for all. And on the contrary, when we go to King Vena's episode, because he was stopping all the sacrifices, he was against the Brahmanas, he was against the cows, and he was disturbing the whole Vedic system, earth was not producing anything. So, even when we see the beginning of this canto, Mother Earth, in the form of cow, approached the demigods for shelter, and then they go to pray to Mahavishnu. So, basically, when we talk about protection, like we are very much familiar with the word cow protection. What is protection? Protection is protecting from the consciousness of exploiting. So, Mother Earth was also exploited. So, she is ready to provide profusely if she is taken care of with love. This is what we are reading here. And even in first canto we read, when King Yudhishthira was ruling the planet, Mother Earth was providing everything profusely for all the living beings. So, but now we are struggling that there is not enough food, population is more, and even if now by the green, whatever so-called green revolution, we started increasing the production, but the challenge we are facing is not, because it is not with love. We are not benefiting. The standard of the society has become more and more miserable. Like in the case of Hiranyakashipu. Even when Hiranyakashipu conquered the demigods, Mother Earth was producing things profusely. But that was out of fear of Hiranyakashipu. So that didn't last long. And Narasimhadev appeared and killed the demon, and everything was finished. So the principle we are trying to understand here is that the leaders of the society have to understand this, that we have to care for the consciousness of the citizens we are taking care of. Because if the consciousness is exploiting, then Mother Earth and all the mothers will be in fear. So may it be Mother Cow, may it be our own mother. So there are 7 mothers described in the Shastras. So the real protection the Kshatriyas were supposed to be giving is helping the citizens to progress in Krishna consciousness. And this is what is emphasized here, that because of our corrupt mentality, we have disturbed the whole system. Otherwise, Krishna gave us a wonderful system. It was working on its own. Everything was in abundance. There was no scarcity. There was no scarcity of whatsoever, anything on this planet. And we were just supposed to be practicing Krishna consciousness so that we can understand the purpose of life and go back home, back to Godhead. But because of our enviousness, the way we see here, to enjoy independent of the Lord, we started inventing things. We thought we are progressing. This is how our current education system is. It is explaining us that we are living a better lifestyles now, today, by advancement. And so we can relate this to the Indra pastime also. Indra was also trying to think that everything should be offered to me. Why? Govardhan. So he learned it that to establish the supremacy of the Lord is the solution of all the problems. So if you don't establish that point, if you don't understand this, in other words, all pastimes are to establish that accepting Krishna as Supreme Personality will only work for this mankind. Whatever we may devise as a strategy, but till the moment we elevate our consciousness to the point of accepting Krishna as a Supreme Personality, we cannot solve any problem of our life. This is what Indra is, even the demigods are experiencing. So it's not that the human societies are just only bewildered. Even the demigods are bewildered. Even Brahma was bewildered. Even Indra is bewildered so many times. So basically Indra is sending a signal to us that don't be like me. So by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have got connected to this process of Krishna consciousness. So we should be sticking to this process, not trying to innovate something in this. The process is very simple. Accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality and follow the system which he gave. We don't have to, like Bhagavad Gita is preaching that annat bhavanti bhutani parjanya anna sambhavat. So the food should be growing with rainwater. But then we innovated a system called irrigation. And we thought we will produce more food, we will become more healthy. But actually we started exploiting Mother Earth. That arised greed in our heart to produce year-round, 365 days. Otherwise, Krishna designed the system. It was raining in a season, then it is after rainfall is winter, then again season, changes to summer. It's a cycle. But we think that summer is bad, winter is bad, and we want water whole year round. So we could not understand Krishna's system the way Indra was not understanding. Indra was not understanding how Krishna is the maintainer. He was thinking that I am providing rainfall. And he went to the extent of that he desired to kill the Brajvasis. That was his intent, to kill the cows. That is why he invited the destructive clouds. But because it was not in line with Krishna's desire, nothing could happen. So, the system we see is still functioning if we allow our consciousness to understand it. Somehow our consciousness are educated with the modern concepts wherein we think that depending on the factories in terms of our maintenance of life, in terms of our food habits, only can maintain us. But nature is not like that. Nature was, if we go to the forest, we see all the species are just living their life independently, and they have no whatsoever, no business to work. They don't have to have any factories to produce their food. They don't have to be working where they will get drinking water. Drinking water is a big challenge today. I mean, when I started coming to ISKCON in the year 2000, I heard in one of the class that in Kali Yuga, water will be sold at the price of gold. And those days in beginning in India, even where we were traveling with train, we were drinking the tap water available. But now we see, here right in Vrindavan, the water is sold at 60 rupees a liter, expensive than the milk. So the point is, again, this is connected to this pastime because Indra is also controlling the rain. And Prabhupada writes in one of the purport, but who is controlling Indra? So Indra is controlled by the Supreme Personality of God. So we should be very conscious in our decisions of utilizing water also. Right now we are very in our fulfilling our necessities of eating, sleeping, mating and defending. We are consuming a lot of water. But are we tasting the sweetness of Krishna in that now? We were looking for some land here, and even now the groundwater here is salty in Vrindavan. Just imagine the kind of damage that has happened here. And the only reason that can be assigned to it is lack of Krishna consciousness. You cannot tell anything else. There is no other reason. There is only one reason, lack of Krishna consciousness. So if we try to connect with these principles of Krishna consciousness, with the principles of simple living, as Srila Prabhupada wanted, reducing our dependency on the factory products and trying to live our life with the produce on the land. That is very much possible to convert this salty water into sweet water. But because our consciousness are so perverted that it is like inconceivable for us to understand. Like what we are reading here is like a fairy tale for us, that rivers flowed with various kinds of tasty liquid. What does it mean? It means nothing to us. We don't even understand. We can't relate to this statement even. Trees exuded honey. Now we see what honey is available today. Honey means, like, out of love we call people honey, right? So everything is product of love. Today we are exploiting. Our consciousness is to exploit. So the main message here is to convert our exploitative consciousness to the consciousness of loving the creator around us, all the living beings around us. Without that, the Indra tried to control by killing everybody. Then what could he achieve? Only problems. Krishna smashed his pride. So we are also trying to become the controller of the system which Krishna gave us, thinking that we will manage it better than the way Krishna gave to us. But what is happening? Our consciousness is getting deteriorated more and more. From the loving paradigm, we are shifting to fear paradigm, exploiting paradigm. And so we need to learn these things. So we have to replace our consciousness, what we have now, with the consciousness given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us that this morning program of reading his books in the morning, evening Bhagavad Gita is so very important. Otherwise, our mindsets are so deeply rooted, we cannot understand. We think that Indra was idiot. We are no better than him. We are still continuing what Indra stopped doing at that moment. We are still continuing that. So, the leaders of the society, also we read in one of the, I think 4th or 5th canto, where Srila Prabhupada writes that the leader should protect his citizens from rogues and thieves, external, and also internal rogues and thieves, if the ministers are like that. So Indra is part of that. So Krishna protected Brajbasis from the internal minister, basically. Indra was part of Krishna's ministry. Right? Indra is the empowered demigod by the Lord, and he is not supposed to be doing this exploiting mentality of the Brajbasis. So he was corrected. So the dual responsibility of leader is also can be understood from this, that Krishna explained that as a leader you have to be helping all your citizens to be uplifting in their consciousness. Plus, if your own ministers are exploiting them, then you have to correct them also. It's not that they can do and not they have the freedom to do it. And then he protected Indra also, the minister, who himself was doing a mistake, by removing his false pride. So the leaders are supposed to be working on this. This is another message we can take from this chapter. And for us, we have to understand that everything is ultimately coming from the Lord. May it be through some minister or anybody. Like when we travel in a train, sometimes a beggar is blind and is begging for some money. So somebody on the upper berth is giving money, but because he is blind he cannot see, so the upper person transfers it to the person sitting on the lower berth, and the person on the lower berth gives the money to the beggar, and the beggar acknowledges thanks to that person. But because he is blind, he doesn't know that it is coming from the person on the upper berth. So same way, we don't understand that whatever we get is coming by the mercy of the Lord. All other endeavors what we see here or we are appreciating that just because of our blindness to the mercy of the Lord. So this is another thing we can get from here, that we have to be always worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that consciousness, like Srila Rupa Goswami says, only two principles: always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So this statement appears very simple, but it has a very deep relevance to our consciousness, to improving it. It's not easy. Then we see that all these examples where Mother Earth is producing profusely, even in King Pruthu's case, when King Pruthu was coronated after King Vena. So Mother Earth is always connected to the form of Mother Cow, and then the king, Gaya or Pruthu, they were linked with the calf. So Prabhupada writes in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that the calf is not only beautiful to look at, but it also gives satisfaction to the mother. So she produces more milk. This is exact line. I don't have the first canto, but yeah, this is what he says. So here when we see that the king in the form of calf approaches Mother Earth with love, the mother is producing enough produce, or in other words, giving enough milk. But today, the practice is like Hiranyakashipu, separating the mother cow from the calf and forcefully taking the milk. So Hiranyakashipu was trying to do that. He was exploiting the Mother Earth for the produce. So ultimately he has to see death. So same way, if we are trying to extract things forcefully from Mother Earth in the form of, from Mother Cow in the form of milk, then the same Shastra says that the milk which we derived is linked to poison. So the point I am trying to bring up again is that we have to leave the system of the Lord, or the ecosystem, to function on its own. So the ecosystem works perfectly well, as in 7th canto, the important chapters where the whole Varnashram system is defined. Here Prabhupada writes about the last sentence in the purport by Prabhupada's disciples is on building up the community, world community. So it is all that 5 chapters are focusing on that. And in that it is explained very clearly that Lord has designed a system where the sunlight which falls on the ground is absorbed through the form of plants. The rain which falls from the sky is absorbed with the plants, goes to the Mother Earth. Whatever is growing is recycled back on the same land. And the diversity, there are 84 lakh species. So the biggest challenge the world is facing today is to coexist together. There is so much of competitive mentality. So the competitive mentality should be there to serve the Lord, not to get our share of food. Because by the mercy of the Lord, if we don't intervene in the system, then there is enough food for all the species available. The Mother Earth is there, sky is there, Krishna is arranging the water every year. Enough is growing. This is exactly after the rain. You see, this is manifesting in a way, this pastime. After the rain, everything manifests. So, but we don't know this system. The system which we have learned is heavy cultivation. Here it is said, without cultivation. Plants came to maturity without cultivation. But our paradigms are to be working hard. So when we do these endeavors, and the principle is sense gratification, then we are stepping in the shoes of Indra. But we have to come out of it and accept the supremacy of the Lord, accept the system which He created. We have to come out of this mentality of exploiting the resources supplied for maintenance of the whole ecology of all the species. Then we can live our life with good Krishna consciousness. So, Srila Prabhupada established this movement, and the very base was to make everybody understand the principles of Krishna consciousness. And he also wanted that we establish this community living. As we expand this community living, then we can very much relate with the nature, and then it becomes very easy to practice these principles. But in the contemporary world, it is, very challenging even to get our basic food to survive. So it is very difficult to digest these concepts. So unless and until we create a situation wherein we get an opportunity to live a life where we can observe the system, the natural system given by the Lord, we will not be able to appreciate it in true sense. So otherwise it will become just a story for us, Oh, trees were giving honey, edible plants came to me. Oh, no. Plants, we have to put lot of effort to grow it, to put seed, then to put water, then to put some chemicals, fertilizers, take care of the insects. So many concepts we already have. And we cannot give these concepts very easily because we have not experienced this. But fortunately, we living in Vrindavan, we have this opportunity to glorify the living in one. So Vrindavan means forest. So in Bhagavatam we read that Krishna explains to Nanda Baba that we are living in forest. So the natural habitat of all the species is forest basically. But because of our desire to enjoy independently of the Lord system, we kept disturbing the system, we removed the forest, we started establishing factories, and so many things we did. And this is, the word used here is cynical, right? Cynicism. So we are just trying to mimic the Lord system independent of the Lord. So it's not possible. So we have to admit that we are not competent. Maybe like Indra, not publicly, in privately. Indra was in privately admitting his mistake, not publicly. Still that is okay. Krishna didn't say that he didn't objected to it. He still appreciated that. So the day we admit this, that all these years my decisions was wrong, all my years the decisions to live my life were wrong and independent of Krishna consciousness, from that day we start improving our services to the nature. Otherwise, right now we are in the exploiting mentality, the way Indra had it, and the purport is very strongly alarming us that if we don't change, then we will be ruining our lives. And the best part, the most encouraging part also is given in this purport, that history can repeat itself. There is a hope that the Krishna conscious movement may again bring the world community to the brilliant reality of self-realized existence. So the scope is there. It's not that we are totally out, it is not possible. And there are many communities in the world who are implementing this successfully by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We have established so many temples around the world, so many farm communities are there who are trying to practice this. And if we can establish one wonderful community here in Vrindavan to exemplify these principles of simple living on the land with the cows, growing our food, growing fruits, vegetables, flowers for the Lord, and surviving on that, then maybe we can preach to the whole world the concept of simple living, the concept of what it means to be free from enmity. Here it is written that even though those cruel by nature became entirely free of enmity. So it's not easy. See, we all want, sincerely we are working on this principle to be free of envy, to be free of hatred, to be free of enmity with others, to be free from greed, lust. We don't want this, we have understood this. But, so we need a supplementing lifestyle which can help us to do this. If we don't have a supplement, so right now we are mimicking materialistic lifestyle and trying to practice Krishna consciousness. That is very good. So we are upgrading or raising our consciousness to a level. But now if we have our own lifestyle, Krishna conscious lifestyle, which is living off the land, as Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing always, that if you live on the land with cows, all economic problems can be solved. This has to be demonstrated now. This is still not demonstrated. This is still a mystery for us to understand what it means. So, if efforts are put in this direction, then this pastime is well taken by all of us, the Govardhan pastime, because Govardhan was taking care of all the species here. This is what Krishna says, I am taking care of, not Indra, you. I was taking care of, I am the caretaker, I am the enjoyer, I am the provider, not you. That is the message. So, if we create an environment or a situation wherein we can preach this, the Sankirtan movement can expand all over the world very easily. And also Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the letters that what we are doing now is small-scale preaching. And this living of the farm will be large-scale preaching. So, this Sankirtan movement has to expand to every town and village. So, when we talk about expanding into villages and towns, we cannot take this factory lifestyle there. We have to be living a life which they can understand, they can relate, and they can live, and then they can easily connect to Krishna consciousness by the process of chanting, reading Srila Prabhupada books. So, when we make the lifestyle so simple, then we can dedicate more time for Sankirtan, distributing books, spreading the holy name all around the town and villages. But if we engage in so many Herculean tasks to arrange money for maintenance, then it is very difficult. So the decision making has to be changing, wherein we don't intervene in Krishna's system. So the leaders of the society are requested that all the decisions they take to serve Krishna or to serve the nature are to be in a fashion that they take care of the social aspect. It should not be damaging the social life of the people. They should take care of the environmental aspect. It should not be damaging the nature. And economically, it should be acceptable. But right now, the major decision-making benchmark for the major leaders of the world is just the economic part of the decision. If they see that whatever money I am putting in, if it is growing, they go ahead with the decision. But they don't think the way we are supposed to be thinking, that none of the species. So every decision, the decision cannot be anthropocentric, just centered around the humans. All our decisions should be considering all the living beings, the welfare of all the living beings on the planet. Then only our decisions are Krishna conscious decision. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Some comments from Pansugowda Prabhu.
Most people won't stay brahmachari and most get married, and getting married, the wife is an impetus for economic development. So it says that we're only going to have this much happiness and that much distress, so why make the endeavor? So how do we figure out how to limit our endeavors for acquiring different things which we feel will make our life more comfortable? Not everyone's going to excuse I'm a Brahma, just not want anything and just live a life of poverty. But at the same time, how are you spiritual, renounced, and at the same time being responsible to take care of your responsibilities by putting forward the endeavor, but there's only so much happiness and so much distress coming to you anyway?
Yeah.
Maybe you can reflect on that.
Yeah, I will try to answer this. So, what I have understood is the concept of comfortable life or maintaining family has been watered down too much away from the principle of Krishna consciousness. So, the real understanding of maintaining a family or raising a child, if I take my example, my son, so he might ask for, my son might ask for many things, but if I give him anything which is taking him away from Krishna consciousness, then my decision is wrong. As simple as that. So, the whole idea as a family or as a unit, as a grahastha ashram, is to raise our consciousness that the only way to do sense gratification is to satisfy the senses of the Lord. But if we try to do it independently, anything, even though with our so-called mindsets, we might think that, oh, I gave a nice phone to my son, I am giving a nice house to my son. But if he is not getting attracted to Krishna, it is a wasteful endeavor. You are wasting the hard work you have done, the money which you generated. It is all getting wasted, and we are aggravating more karmas on us. So it is difficult because, as I was telling, we are mimicking a materialistic lifestyle. So we think that the definition of comfortable means to have a cozy house, an air-conditioned room, blah, blah, blah. But the Shastra says that comfortable life means like Sudama was living. Maybe like that. Like Kolavechar Sridhar was living. So these are paradigms we have received from the modern education system. These words are all relative. Everything in this world is relative. What is comfortable? Like the cold water is comfortable in summer, and now it is a problem. So it is all relative. But on the absolute platform, the only thing that will give comfort to the whole society is Krishna consciousness, and trying to work only for the enjoyment of the Lord is what we have to be raising our family to the standard, to come to that standard. If we are not coming to that standard, then in my understanding it is Shrameva hi kevalam. I mean, we might be feeling comfortable, but actually it is not.
Will the internet be available?
Yes, if it is for the pleasure of the Lord, for preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world, why not? Like we are broadcasting wonderful darshan of Krishna Balram every day. No problem. The principles of Yukta Vairagya, I think Prabhupada allowed that. Anyone else? We have some few minutes, some comments or some more questions? Or we can end early. I can read the last verse. Thank you, Vijay. See, he did the hard work of putting it on the last verse to end the chapter, because and it doesn't have a purport. So it's good to read it today. Yeah. Iti gokulapatim govindam abhisya saha anujanato yayo sakro bruto devadibir divam. Translation. After he had ceremonially bathed Lord Govinda, who is the master of the cows and the cowherd community, King Indra took the Lord's permission and, surrounded by the demigods and other higher beings, returned to his heavenly abode. Thus end the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to 10th canto, 27th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Indra and Mother Surbi offer prayers. Thank you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So we hear about loving Mother Earth and treating her kindly and not exploiting, not only in the Krishna consciousness movement, but there is a mundane movement also, the ecological movement, to recycle. Actually, it's become very popular that we eat less meat in society because it's understood how damaging it is to the environment. So environmentalism is on the rise. And sometimes we hear some devotees say, well, this is very external, it's very mundane, we don't need to worry about that, just chant Hare Krishna, everything will go on. The problem is, as a preaching movement, people come to the temple and they see piles of disposable plastic and paper and everything. And we are transcendental to people's opinions, and then they're not so interested to join. So how to convince the devotees that these seemingly mundane issues are actually part preaching?
Yeah. How to convince? In 2018 or 2019, GBC has passed a resolution to all temples to avoid using disposable plastic.
Actually, it was only styrofoam.
Sorry?
It was only styrofoam.
Achha, it was only styrofoam.
Yeah, it was only styrofoam.
Yeah.
Actually.
But the point is, the thing has started. The GBC has been very careful about it, and they are slowly bringing it in the system. And like even for the cows, now the resolution was 2019 was given by the Ministry of Crop Protection and Agriculture that no more goshalas. We have to have farm projects where we are working with the cows, not keeping cows only for milk, but cow protection means getting enough milk and good quality food, as Prabhupada writes in first canto. So because we are ignoring the one part, so the things are evolving. Like ISKCON is still 56-year-old. If we look our life of 10,000 years, we are still in our diapers. So it will take time to evolve to that level. We might be, everybody has his own expertise. Like somebody is pushing Harinam, somebody is pushing Sankirtan, somebody is pushing youth preaching. So somebody is working on these environmental aspects also within our society. But so everybody has to do their own role play. This is what I understand. And everything is welcomed because things are moving, yes. Because more people are talking these things now. Like if you go maybe 30 years back, it was really a fanatical word to be talking about environment, right? But now at least we can talk in Bhagavatam. So things are changing. Thank you.
This is an excellent answer. Thank you very much.
ठीक है. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.